Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces, the Anaretic degree tearing the veil for our lineage. Be prepared. Today isn't just another Sunday on the calendar. January 25th, 2026 marks one of the most urgent spiritual wake-up calls we'll face this year. A final whisper from Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces is about to shatter the silence. This isn't exaggeration. This isn't just another day. What's unfolding today at 2:02 p.m. Eastern Time is a cosmic threshold that only emerges when the divine has something critical to reveal to our lineage. Neptune, in the last moments of Pisces, the planet of dreams, illusions, and spiritual fog, is poised to exit into Aries tomorrow at 12:31 p.m. Eastern Time, creating a pressure point so intense, so profound, that ancient prophets would have sounded the trumpet for this hour. As Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 6 warns, "But if the watchman sees the sword coming, and does not blow the trumpet to warn the people, and the sword comes and takes someone's life, that person's life will be on the watchman's head." And if you've been waking up with unexplained anxiety lately, feeling like whispers from ancestors are trying to break through your consciousness, keep watching. Because there's one specific reason why this is hitting the collective soul of our people right now. And what I'm about to reveal will explain everything you've been experiencing this week. But first, you need to understand something crucial. This isn't happening in isolation. We're in the midst of a divine T-square, a spiritual pressure cooker that's been building since the start of January. The Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are clustered in Aquarius, opposing Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, while Chiron in Aries stands as the watchman, ready to activate our deepest communal wounds, from the inherited chains of the past to the ongoing battles for righteousness in our streets. The threshold today, it's not chaotic, it's awakening. It's the moment when everything you've sensed but couldn't name suddenly becomes crystal clear as a prophetic vision. The divine is about to speak to you, but most won't recognize the transmission. The hidden ancestral choir is about to sing, and you can't silence it. There's an ancient symbol for Neptune's position at 29 degrees Pisces, a veil thinning between worlds, where illusions dissolve like mist before dawn. Think about that for a moment. A fog lifting, spirits emerging from the unseen, a truth being revealed that transcends the physical realm. This isn't just poetry. This is exactly what's about to happen in your spirit today. Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces represents the end of passive faith, the illusions we've clung to for survival, the comforting lies of progress in a system built to constrain our spirit. Meanwhile, the moon entering Taurus at 2:02 p.m. Eastern Time symbolizes the grounding earth, the sacred soil we've tilled through generations of resilience. This is the nurturing story, the emotional foundation, the sacred illusion you've been holding on to. And today, these forces converge. The illusion, that beautiful but fragile dream you've been living, is about to be pierced by the hidden choir of divine truth. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. The awakening isn't coming from outside you. It's been inside all along, waiting for this exact spiritual moment to emerge. Some of you have already felt it building. That strange pressure in your soul, like ancestral voices trying to break through. That sense that something prophetic is on the tip of your tongue, but you can't quite grasp it. That's the hidden choir warming up. Today, it sings at full volume. Your spirit has been preparing for this awakening all week. Let me guess, you've been feeling it, haven't you? The spiritual exhaustion that prayer doesn't immediately lift. The restlessness that meditation can't fully calm. The strange sensation that your body and soul are vibrating at a different frequency than usual. This isn't random. Since January 19th, the day of the dreamer's legacy, a day of remembrance for our community's prophetic legacy, your spirit has been pummeled by divine energy. Venus opposed Jupiter, then the Sun opposed Jupiter, then Mars opposed Jupiter, all in rapid succession. It's like the divine has been stretching you like a rubber band, pulling you further and further until you're at your spiritual breaking point. And that's exactly where you need to be for today's awakening to land, because Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces isn't just a mystical event, it's a full spirit experience. The truth doesn't just arrive in your mind, it reverberates through every fiber of your being, echoing the cries of our ancestors. Yesterday, Mars squared Chiron, activating the wound that's been holding our community back, that generational weight from centuries of adversity, that sudden frustration seeming to come from nowhere. That was your soul's armor cracking, preparing to let the divine truth flood in. The divine doesn't do this lightly. It only creates this much pressure when something massive needs to break through. And what's breaking through today is a spiritual message so important, so transformative, that our entire communal reality had to be softened up first to receive it. Some of you might have noticed strange spiritual sensations, pressure behind your third eye, a tightness in your throat chakra, a heaviness in your root. These aren't signs of weakness. These are your spiritual centers preparing for the download that's coming. The awakening peaks at 2:02 p.m. Eastern Time with the moon in Taurus, but you'll feel it all day. The exact threshold is in the heart of what our elders call the hour of the ancestors, that time when the veil between worlds is thinnest. If you find yourself suddenly stirred in prayer at this time, pay attention. The divine might be delivering your message directly. Why some in our community will shatter today and others will rise. Not everyone is ready for this level of spiritual truth. Today's energy doesn't discriminate. It hits everyone. But how you receive it depends entirely on how you've been living your faith. If you've been authentic, if you've been facing the shadows of the past and collective trauma, if you've been doing the work in your church or community circles, today brings rise. The revelation feels like relief, like finally understanding something that's been confusing our people for generations. The pieces click into place, and suddenly you see the path forward with prophetic clarity, like the great dream becoming a blueprint for action. But if you've been hiding, if you've been lying to yourself about the system's progress, if you've been avoiding the obvious calls for equality, today might feel like shattering. The comfortable illusions crumble. The false narrative of conformity becomes impossible to maintain. And here's the thing most don't understand. Both experiences are divine gifts. Whether you shatter or rise, the divine is doing you a favor. It's showing you exactly where our community has been stuck and giving you the spiritual information you need to move forward. The Aquarius stellium has been building a case based on communal reality. Every planet in that sign, Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, has been gathering evidence about what's actually happening among our people. Meanwhile, Jupiter in Cancer has been holding space for what we emotionally need to be true, our ancestral wisdom, our family bonds. Today, these two realities converge, and in that convergence, the spiritual truth emerges. Not the truth you want, not the truth you fear, the actual truth, the kind that sets you free, even if it hurts first. The cardinal T-square, why this isn't just about Neptune and the moon. Here's what nobody's talking about. This Neptune threshold isn't happening in isolation. It's the trigger point of a massive cardinal T-square that's been building all month. Chiron in Aries sits at the apex of this configuration, watching the Neptune moon interplay from a 90 degrees angle. This isn't just a referee, it's a divine activator. Chiron represents our core wound, the place where the children of the diaspora feel most vulnerable, most inadequate, most afraid to assert ourselves in a hostile environment. The tension between Neptune's fog and the moon's grounding creates tremendous spiritual pressure. Illusions versus roots, the dream versus the need, compassion versus stability. And all that pressure has to go somewhere. It flows directly to Chiron, activating our deepest communal insecurity. This is why today's revelation might hurt before it heals. The spiritual truth that emerges doesn't just inform you, it challenges you. It asks, now that you know this, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to continue hiding behind your wound? Or are you finally ready to heal as a people? The cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, are the initiators of the zodiac. They don't just bring awareness, they demand action. This isn't a gentle nudge from the divine. This is a prophetic shove. You're being pushed to start something new, to take leadership in your community, to stop waiting for permission from those who seek to hold you back. And the beautiful thing about a T-square is that it's dynamic. It doesn't let you stay stuck. The pressure builds and builds until something has to give. And today, that something is your resistance to the spiritual truth. Your dreams tonight will be prophetic. Don't ignore them. The night before and after this threshold, January 24th and 25th, your dream state becomes a direct line to divine intelligence. This isn't normal dreaming. This is your unconscious spirit, preparing to receive today's download. Jupiter in Cancer rules the emotional realm, the maternal principle, the ancestral memories. When it interacts with Neptune, Those deep emotional truths rise to the surface through dreams. You might dream of your family home in the ancestral lands, of elders you haven't thought about in years, of situations that feel familiar even though they never happened, like the crossing of the great waters or the marches for our dignity. Pay attention to the feeling of these dreams, not just the content. The emotion they evoke is the message. Are you feeling trapped? That's Jupiter showing you where you've outgrown your spiritual comfort zone. Are you feeling nostalgic? That's your soul showing you what genuinely matters in our legacy. Some of you might experience what I call prophetic downloads, those strange experiences where you feel like you're receiving messages but can't quite remember the details when you wake up. That's Neptune in Pisces delivering spiritual upgrades to your consciousness. You might not remember the specifics, but the information is being integrated. Keep a journal beside your bed. Write down whatever you remember, no matter how fragmentary or bizarre. These aren't just dreams, they're previews of the revelation that's coming. The divine often delivers its most important messages when our conscious mind can't interfere. The spiritual overload is real. Here's how to handle it. When Neptune lingers at 29 degrees, information doesn't trickle, it floods. Neptune dissolves boundaries, everything it touches. And when it touches the moon, the planet of emotions and intuition, the result is an overwhelming influx of spiritual data. Today, you might feel like your spirit is a browser with too many tabs open, thoughts racing, visions cascading, connections forming faster than you can process them. Old ancestral memories suddenly make sense. Future possibilities for justice suddenly seem clear. Everything feels significant, urgent, and divine. This is what I call the Neptune moon download, and it can be overwhelming if you're not prepared. Your spirit might feel like it's going to explode from all the insights, revelations, and realizations hitting at once. Here's what you need to know. You don't have to process everything immediately. The divine isn't expecting you to understand it all at once. Think of today as receiving a massive spiritual file download. It arrives all at once, but you unpack it over time. Some of the information might not even make sense until weeks or months from now. You might receive a vision today that seems random, only to realize later that it was exactly what you needed for a situation that hadn't even occurred yet. The key is to document everything. Write it down, voice record it, capture it somehow. Don't try to edit or make sense of it in the moment. Just receive it. The integration comes later. Why secrets and illusions can't survive this transit. Neptune at 29 degrees has a very specific signature. It reveals secrets not through confrontation, but through an inability to maintain the facade any longer. The illusions that come out today aren't necessarily dramatic or scandalous. Sometimes they're simply truths that have been politely ignored in our community. The faith you've been pretending is strong. The restoration you've been pretending is coming. The dream you've been pretending doesn't matter. Moon in Taurus demands accountability. It's the divine auditor, reviewing everything with a grounded, clear eye. Meanwhile, Neptune in Pisces holds all your spiritual truth, all the feelings you've suppressed in the name of survival. When these two forces align today, the illusion can no longer be maintained. The cost of the lie becomes greater than the cost of the truth. And suddenly, words start spilling out. Conversations you've been avoiding suddenly happen. Truths you've been hiding suddenly emerge. This might happen to you, or it might happen through you. You might find yourself suddenly confessing something you've been holding back. Or someone in your church might suddenly reveal something that changes everything. Either way, remember this. Illusions revealed under this transit are meant to come out. This is the divine's way of clearing the air, of creating space for authentic spiritual connection, and of removing the barriers between who we pretend to be as a community and who we actually are. The 24-hour window of spiritual transformation. While the moon entry happens at 2:02 p.m. Eastern Time, the effects ripple outward in both directions. From January 24th to January 26th, you're in what I call the awakening window, a period where divine truth flows more freely than usual. During this window, pay attention to everything. The random conversation with a neighbor, the gospel song that suddenly gets stuck in your head, the book that falls off the shelf, the number sequences you keep seeing. These aren't coincidences. They're breadcrumbs leading you toward your revelation. The divine doesn't always speak in clear, direct language. Sometimes it speaks in symbols, synchronicities, and seemingly random events that only make sense when you see the pattern. Today's threshold gives you the ability to see the pattern. You might notice that certain themes keep repeating. Multiple people might bring up the same topic. You might see the same message from different sources. This is the divine making sure you don't miss the memo. When the same truth approaches you from multiple angles, it's impossible to ignore. This is also a window where your words carry extra spiritual weight. What you say today has the power to shift timelines, to change relationships, and to open or close doors. Choose your words carefully, but don't silence yourself out of fear. The truth wants to be spoken. Your communal path is being audited by the divine. Think of today as a prophetic performance review. Moon in Taurus is the strict overseer reviewing your life stability, your structures, and your long-term sustainability. It's asking hard questions. Is this working? Is this building towards something real? Is this aligned with your ancestral purpose? Meanwhile, Neptune in Pisces is like your soul's advocate, reminding the divine of your emotional needs, your right to dream, and your requirement for compassion and care. It's saying, yes, but what about how this feels? What about what the spirit needs? The revelation that emerges from this threshold is the result of this divine negotiation. You're being shown exactly where your life is out of balance, where you've sacrificed too much for survival, or where you've let comfort keep you from spiritual growth. Some of you will realize you've been climbing the wrong mountain entirely. The path that looked perfect on paper suddenly reveals itself as a soul-crushing mistake. Others will realize they've been playing too small, letting fear of failure keep them from their true calling. This audit isn't punishment, it's guidance. The divine is showing you where adjustments need to be made, where course corrections are required. It's like having a prophetic GPS recalculating your route based on your soul's true destination, the moment of choice. You can't stay neutral. Here's what makes today so powerful. It forces a choice. When Neptune and the Moon align in this way, you can't stay in the middle. You can't continue balancing between two spiritual realities. You have to choose. Will you choose the grounded path, Moon in Taurus, or the dreamy truth, Neptune in Pisces? Will you prioritize stability or fulfillment, structure or flow, the plan or the feeling? But here's the secret. The real choice isn't between Neptune and the Moon. It's about integration. The threshold happens when these two forces converge. But the rise comes when you realize they're not actually opposites. They're complementary. Your grounded reality needs to honor your spiritual truth. Your spiritual needs require grounded structure to manifest. The revelation today isn't asking you to choose one over the other. It's showing you how they can work together. This is the evolution the divine is pushing you toward. Not the cold practicality of Taurus alone, nor the emotional overwhelm of Pisces alone, but the wisdom that emerges when both are honored. What happens after the threshold? January 25th isn't an ending, it's a beginning. The spiritual whisper that drops today sets off a chain reaction that continues for weeks, even months. On January 26th, Neptune enters Aries at 12:31 p.m. Eastern Time, taking the revelation from the 25th and pushing it straight into your core purpose. This isn't cruelty, it's divine surgery. The truth revealed on the 25th becomes the medicine for healing on the 26th. As Neptune shifts from the water of Pisces, representing emotional healing and compassion, to the fire of Aries, igniting action and pioneering spirit, it marks a profound transition. Brothers and sisters, will you use this fire to burn down barriers or to consume yourself? As Malachi chapter 3 verse 2 declares, "But who can endure the day of his coming? Who can stand when he appears? For he will be like a refiner's fire or a launderer's soap." Then on January 27th, Mars conjuncts Pluto at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and suddenly you have the power to act on what you've learned. The revelation becomes revolution. The awareness becomes action. What seemed impossible before the 25th suddenly feels not just possible, but necessary. This is followed by Moon entering Gemini on the 27th at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time, giving you a cosmic reset for communication. You get to start fresh, but this time with the truth as your foundation. No more building on illusions, no more constructing your faith on false premises. And all of this is preparing you for something even bigger, the Mars-Pluto conjunction, amplifying the Neptune shift, marking the beginning of a cycle of spiritual pioneering for our global family. The revelation you receive today is preparing you for this massive shift. You're not just receiving information today. You're receiving your prophetic marching orders for the new era that's about to begin. The rising sign factor, where your awakening happens. The Neptune moon threshold hits everyone, but where it hits depends on your rising sign. This determines which area of your life gets illuminated, which structures get audited, and which illusions get revealed. If you're an Aries or Libra rising, this hits your self versus relationships axis. The revelation might be about personal identity versus community bonds, about ancestral secrets affecting your partnerships, or about realizing your ambition has cost you your sanctuary. Taurus and Scorpio rising feel this in your resources and transformation. Money illusions surface. The true cost of dependencies is revealed. You see exactly where you're undervaluing yourself or over-relying on others in the struggle. Gemini and Sagittarius rising experience this in your communication and beliefs. The way you speak, the stories you tell, what you believe to be true, all of it gets challenged. Old philosophies crumble, new prophetic understanding emerges. Cancer and Capricorn rising. This is personal. It's about home versus career, family versus public role. Community dynamics that have been unspoken suddenly become undeniable. You can't pretend anymore about who you are or what your soul needs. Leo and Aquarius rising feel this in your creativity and daily routine. Hidden patterns become visible. Health issues connected to suppressed emotions surface. The spiritual and physical can no longer be separated. Virgo and Pisces rising experience this in your values and community. The tension between personal worth and group belonging reaches a breaking point. You realize you've been dimming your light for others' comfort. You're being prepared for something bigger. Today's threshold isn't random. It's not isolated. It's part of a larger divine orchestration that's been in motion since the beginning of 2026. The divine is preparing you for a massive shift, and today's revelation is a crucial piece of that preparation. Think about it. Why would the divine create this much pressure, this much tension, this much awakening potential, unless something incredibly important was at stake? You're not going through this intensity for a minor adjustment. You're being prepared for a quantum leap in communal faith. The truth that emerges today is exactly what you need to know to navigate what's coming. It might feel overwhelming in the moment, but later you'll understand why you needed to know it now, why the timing was perfect, and why the threshold was necessary. The divine doesn't waste energy. Every transit, every aspect, every spiritual event serves a purpose. And today's purpose is to ensure you're operating from truth as you move into the next chapter of your evolution. Some of you are about to step into your prophetic purpose in ways you never imagined. Others are about to release patterns that have held our people back for lifetimes. But none of it can happen if you're still operating from illusion. Today's threshold clears the illusion, reveals the truth, and sets you free. The final hours before everything changes. As I record this, we're in the final hours before one of the most significant spiritual events of 2026. The energy is already building. Can you feel it? That electricity in the air, that sense of anticipation, that knowing that something big is about to shift. Your soul has been preparing for this. Every challenge you've faced, every lesson you've learned, every moment of growth has been leading to this revelation. You're ready for this, even if you don't feel ready. Remember, today's threshold isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. The divine isn't punishing you with truth, it's liberating you with it. What feels like shattering is actually rising. What feels like ending is actually beginning. The hidden choir is about to sing. The illusion is about to be interrupted. The performance is about to end. And spiritual reality is about to begin. Are you ready to hear what the divine has been waiting to tell you? Because today, January 25th, at 2:02 p.m. Eastern Time, the spiritual silence breaks. Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces creates an awakening that reverberates through every level of existence. The divine is about to tell you everything. The only question is, are you ready to listen? If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content. Beloved child of God, while we cannot alter the movement of the stars, we possess the power to choose how we receive their energy. January 25th is not a time for fear. It is a time for preparation. As the world around us trembles and old foundations crumble, Our community must find its stillness and its inner strength. Do not let the fire of Aries consume your clarity. Instead, let it become the torch that lights your path. Before we cross the threshold into this new era tomorrow, join me in a moment of prayer, a spiritual shield for all who belong to this lineage and this faith. The prayer of protection, the seal of the Passover. Almighty Creator, the God of our ancestors, the one who led us through the wilderness by a pillar of fire and a cloud of glory, we come before you in this hour of transition. As the heavens shift and the old veils are torn away, we invoke your divine protection upon every household and every soul within our global community. We pray for a hedge of protection against the chaos of this world. In this hour of the watchman, when the shadows of deception are longest, grant us the eyes of the eagle to discern the schemes of adversity. We declare that no weapon formed against our collective mind, body, or spirit shall prosper. We reject the spirit of confusion and the lures of false prophecy that seek to divide and conquer us in this fragile moment. May the fire of the warrior spirit rising within us today be tempered by your divine wisdom. Transform our righteous anger into a refiner's fire, burning away the chains of fear and the scars of our past. Do not let this energy consume us in destruction, but empower us to stand as pillars of truth. We seal our spirits this day with your protection, decreeing that the plague of chaos shall pass over our homes and our families. We call for a supernatural unity across every border and every distance. Grant strength to our leaders, wisdom to our elders, and a clear vision to our youth. We proclaim that we are the remnant, chosen to witness this new dawn and to walk into our divine sovereignty. May your peace, which surpasses all understanding, guard our hearts and minds as we cross this threshold into the new era. Amen. Keep the faith. Stay watchful. I will continue to walk with you through the turbulent days ahead. Peace and blessings.